Because tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, they were thought to be poisonous. The French, however, thought the tomato was an aphrodisiac and named it pomme d'amour, the love apple. To this day in France, it is considered poor taste and vaguely obscene to serve a tomato in a recognizable form. So my tomato bisque is safe to serve. It's no longer recognizable as a tomato. To make my tomato bisque, you'll need lots of tomatoes. Like all my soups, proportions aren't important. You'll just need to use your kitchen witchcraft. So starting with lots of tomatoes, I'm using our end of summer cherry tomatoes plus 2 Japanese brown tomatoes. I will be using 1/2 of a cut onion, 1/2 of a shallot, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 carrot, some salt, some pepper, assorted herbs. I'll be using oregano, marjoram, basil, sage, parsley, and thyme. And you'll need 1 to 2 cups of chicken broth. For roasting your vegetables, you'll need some olive oil. And you'll also need about a cup of half and half. I've done a rough chop on my onion, shallot, carrot, and brown Japanese tomatoes. I'm just cutting my cherry tomatoes in half. I'll cut up my garlic when I throw it all together on the roasting pan with salt and pepper and the assortment of herbs. And spread all of your ingredients on this pan. I have quite a few more tomatoes to add to this, but I'll get these off of my cutting board for now. The shallot, my garlic. And once all your vegetables are nicely cut, it's time to add your seasoning. Probably about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, probably about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to sprinkle it generously with olive oil. Kind of toss it with your hands. Make sure everything's coated nicely. And this will now, I'm going to sprinkle my herbs over the top, and then this will go into a preheated 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Our beautiful vegetables have roasted for 20 minutes and have cooled now so that I can handle the pan and them. And I'm putting them all into this large soup pot. Using an old-fashioned potato masher, I'm just mixing our vegetables together and kind of estimating how much liquid they're releasing, and they're releasing quite a bit. So I'm going to start with about 1.5 cups of chicken broth. If you wanted this to be a vegetarian soup, you could of course make it with vegetable broth. And now a secret ingredient that I didn't talk about before is 2 tablespoons of uncooked rice. I'm going to sprinkle this in. This is going to serve as a thickening for your soup, and also once it goes through the blender and is pureed, it will add a nice silky texture to it. Our pot now goes on flame for a gentle simmer for about 20 minutes. And so now it's time for that little bit of kitchen witchcraft. You've got to taste the soup and decide how and if you need to adjust the seasoning. To me, this is absolutely perfect, but this is the time for you to adjust your own seasoning to your taste. So our beautiful tomato mixture has been pureed, and now I'm just forcing it through a sieve using the back of a spoon. This takes a little bit of time, but I want to get all the solids out. I want this to be an absolutely creamy, smooth bisque. And now one last taste for seasoning before we add the half and half, and to my taste it's perfect. I have a cup of half and half. I'm not sure how much I'm going to add. I don't have it on flame. I'm just going to gently whisk it in. I'm looking for color at this point more than anything, and then I will taste it again for creaminess. A little bit more. That's about a 1/2 cup, and I'm going to taste it now. For me, this is absolutely perfect, just exactly where I want it. I'll add just about a teaspoon of cream to the final serving when we serve it tonight for dinner. To make a perfect grilled cheese sandwich, you only need 3 ingredients: I'm going to be using sourdough bread, a cheddar cheese, and mayonnaise. To make your grilled cheese sandwich, you start by spreading mayonnaise and make sure you get all the way to the edges. I prefer using mayonnaise to butter because mayonnaise has a higher smoke point and you can get a much prettier golden crust without burning your bread. With a cold pan, lay your mayonnaise size down and now lay your cheddar cheese or American, whatever kind of cheese you're using. Make sure you have you're using a cheese that will melt easily. That's one of the tips that's very important. Cover the top of your bread. The other slice, and now it's ready to go on the flame. Our beautiful grilled cheese sandwiches have been on flame for about 8 minutes, and now they're ready to serve. So let's review the tips for making the perfect grilled cheese sandwich. Use mayonnaise instead of butter. Make sure you're using a good cheese that melts. Use bread with a tight crumb. And most important of all, patience. You can't rush the grilling process of making a grilled cheese sandwich. It will take about 10 minutes on the stove top. Tomato bisque and a grilled cheese sandwich, always a family favorite.